Kicking us off, our first speaker, Mark Fernandes. For those of y'all who've been here from the start, Mark has been at every one of these. He and Brad are always a feature of ours every year. Brings me a great pleasure to share him with y'all. Mark has been in my life since 2015. Will Bartholomew, another buddy of mine that's talking today, actually met Mark at the same time I did. But Mark has been serving in the coaching, leadership, space, real thought leader, in that world. And what will impress you the most as you get to know him is just his discipline. He is fantastic at knowing what he is going to say yes to and what he's going to say no to, and making sure he takes care of himself and he does all the things that he commits to. He sets a goal and it happens. So, true professional and always a gift to get to share his message with you. So, thank you, Mark.
Hey, morning. Question, show of hands, who's here for the first time? Raise your hand, first time. Whoa, wow. All right, so that you all know I'm a recovering asshole, so know that. Probably would help. This is my world. These are my guys, gals. All right, so that's where I was a couple weeks ago, South Side Chicago. Bunch of union boys, laborers, teamsters, ironworkers. And that's been my whole life, okay, has been civil infrastructure construction. Did it for 27 years on the aggregate side. Now it's aggregate, concrete, asphalt, that's my world. And I tell that story for a couple reasons. One, I want you to notice, there are a couple felons in there, a couple ankle bracelets in there, right? Probably no college graduates in there. Look what the workshop was. Same thing I'm going to talk to you about. Same thing, right? They're humans, right? Yeah, they're construction guys, right? None of us, are going to win the IQ contest, but human beings are human beings. We're all wired similarly, same chemicals flow through our bodies, same solutions work. And Nathan, your opening was interesting, right? And we get inspired and we get jazzed up and we get motivated. And I've been doing this 25 years now. And I'll give you the 1-minute version of that here in a couple slides for you new ones. And I've been thinking a lot about the last 25 years. That's a long time. 4 continents, 19 countries, millions of people. And today I'm going to share with you what I think the 4 things are that matter. The 4 things to me that underpin, Nathan, what you were talking about. These are the kind of people and these are the kind of core characteristics that these people that I've met along the way that have actually achieved greatness. That's what I want to talk about. I'm not saying it's the answer. I'm not that guy. I don't write books. I don't podcast. I'm not smart enough. The only book ever written about me, you know what the title was? Insubordination, honest to God. It's out there, look it up. So that's kind of me. But I do feel like after 25 years coaching all the people, working with all the companies, at least I can have an opinion, and that's the opinion I wanted to share with you. I wanted to start with a story to make you also understand something else. This was a couple weeks ago, another big one that I work with up in Chicagoland. And the owner, Alan, Alan is one of those humans. He's 39 years old. He's the heir to a $1 billion family enterprise. He got 2 big companies that he's, part owner with Dad in. One's a big infrastructure company, and they're some bruisers. They're really good at what they do. And guys, this guy and his bride at their young age. I don't, if my bride and I ever got caught in Alaska with our 4 Dobermans and some reason couldn't get out, I'm going to call Nathan to get me out. And if he don't answer the phone, I'm going to call Alan. And he's going to get me out, right? He's that guy. He gives more money. We had a foreman get killed last year. Foreman had a 16, 17-year-old daughter. It was all bad. Daughter got a new car. Alan will tell you the company bought her the new car, and that's bullshit. Alan bought her the new car. He does that kind of stuff all the time. I tell you that because I was with him in his office, okay? I walk in, my wife, she's like Kim, she's a little fitness girl, tiny little thing, And sitting on top of this box was this really nice zip-up kind of workout thing. And I picked it up and I said, man, Alan, this is really nice. Now hear me out, gang. He said, oh, I bought that for Laura for her birthday. I proceeded to say, man, Lynn would really like this. So what did he say? Take it. And what did I do? I took it. I took it. I took his wife's birthday present. Went back to my hotel room, laid it out. Man, Lynn's going to love me, at least for a day, you know. I get up the next morning, you guys, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, what a shit show, Mark. How in God's name did you think it was okay to take? So self-deception, I talked about it last year. I had a couple guys were talking to me every day. They wake up and try to figure out the lies they tell themselves. So when I get to the end of the day and I do something like that, I think, what the hell was I thinking? And you know what I was thinking? That sumbitch could buy that whole company. He don't need that damn shirt. And I took it. And that's self-deception, right? All self-deception does for us is right wrongs. You get it? It rights wrongs. And what did I tell you last year? A couple hundred times a day, even for you Catholics, right? You're going to tell ourselves these lies to right wrongs. And that's the way our brains work. Well, what was funny is when I was doing this workshop, and I tell these guys, I make sure, and gang, I'm telling you that this is what I do for a living, but I'm not the poster boy for what I do. I've been on this journey 25 years, and notice what I said, recovering asshole, not recovered, AKA taking that lady's shirt. All right? So I tell the story to these guys. In the workshop version of this keynote, you do a bunch of exercises, and you try to pick the stuff you're working on. And one of the 4 big pillars I'm going to talk to you about, right, is stewardship, right? Servant leadership, servant heart. And that's the 4th one. And then you got to kind of think about 7 questions that I'm going to ask you. And so this guy, where is he? Kenny. This is Kenny. All right? Right here. He's a little quiet. And I said, so how are we doing on this one? Stewardship, right? How are we doing on servant leadership? The compassion, the caring, the empathy. And Kenny looks at me and goes, not good. I said, what's up, Kenny? He said, I'd have kept that damn sweatshirt, Mark. And I'm like, okay, brother, drive on. Drive on. So ever since I met Coach Curtis, and Nathan and I were texting with him last night, he hated he couldn't be here. I opened, I guess it was a couple years ago. Obviously, I'm a little, Nathan said I could be authentic. He said I could wear my hat. This is very uncomfortable. All y'all out there in suits and ties, I don't ever see suits and ties. So I get to wear my hat. Hope you're okay with that. But I always apologize in advance that this 4-letter words are going to happen. Sue me, right? Come hang with me and you understand why. Okay, well, I said this at my opening a couple years ago, and Coach Curtis comes up after me, and this is what he said. I didn't know him. First of all, he looks over at me, he called me son. I'm like, that's awesome, right? But then he said, and he's a Bible guy, right? He said, son, sometimes a 4-letter word is the right word, and that was the greatest day of my life. So, sue me later, all right? So this thing started 25 years ago. That was my world, right? Aggregates. We were modern day Fred Flintstone. We made little rocks out of big rocks. And we had grown the company really, really fast. Me, knucklehead from South Philly. My boss, NASCAR driver, married Richard Petty's daughter. And now we're number 1 and number 2. It was bad. It was bad. But we grew the company, making a bunch of money. The culture blew up. We got some help from Kat. They brought in a guy that does what Brad and I do and told us to get out a piece of paper. I know some of you all have heard this, sorry. Write down everything we wanted to change about the company. We wrote like crazy. Told us to put our pens down. And he said, how many of you wrote down yourselves? Of course, none of us did. I gave him the finger. And that's how it started. South Philly, anybody ever been? That's how it started. I didn't understand. I know what he meant. the idea that, man, you want to change the world, change yourself. And then one person's better. And that's the only damn thing that any of us were going to be able to fix in that company was us. 25 years, gang. 25 years. Right? And my journey's been an interesting one. 25 years later, 3 of these haven't changed. Right? This idea that Maslow said, right, in 1940, all human beings are born with limitless potential. 1940. The sad part is, back then and today, what do we say? Only 1 to 2% of people ever, right, get to that level, ever actualize that extraordinary potential they're born with. And I think that's horrible, right? I'm definitely not there. I live with a woman that is. And there is nothing more awesome than to watch my wife do what she does every day, live the way she does. And the 4 things I'm going to talk about today, she's one of those people. So it's really cool, right? I live with a version of it, right? That force multiplier effect, right, of leaders, and leaders as a catalyst, right, for greatness in others. My simple version of leadership is, man, chase this stuff, become the best version of you, and then help the people around you do the same thing. That's it. That's what leaders do. Managers manage tasks and things. That's leadership. Don't confuse it with management. Leaders lead people. Managers manage tasks and things. As a leader, you have to become great. You have to live inspired and full of hope. And then all you need to do is turn around and help your people do the same thing. Answer me this. If you're not inspired and you're not full of hope and optimism and possibility, can you inspire other people, yes or no? Which one? No way in hell. No way. Right? Simple things like that. Leadership is a choice, has nothing to do with your title. Some of the best leaders I've ever met are those guys you just saw. And they don't have big titles. They're laborers, they're operators, but some of the best ones I've ever met are those guys you see in that picture. Selfless exceptionalism is a new one. Okay, selfless exceptionalism comes from this book that I talked about for a minute last year that Dr. Cook wrote, titled Greatness. We talked about chasing greatness. I don't know when I started. It's hard to talk to union foremen about becoming the authentic best version of themselves. It's hard to talk to union foremen about actualize your limitless potential. What they understand is, buddy, be great at something, man. Be great at something. Okay? Then this book gets written, and I couldn't believe it. I found it like 4 years ago. Right? And Dr. Cook talks about focus, passion, mental toughness, and selfless exceptionalism. Focus is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Right? What's your goal? What are your goals? Okay? Passion, how bad do you want to get there? How bad do you want to get there? Mental toughness is mental toughness. And I even tell my guys, right? Tattoos, Harleys, and fighting on weekends is not mental toughness. It's not. I think it might be the keys to the kingdom. I think the battle's up here. I just saw a quote this morning, right? Most important decision you'll make in your life, right? Are you going to control your mind, or are you going to let your mind control you? And if you're not mentally tough, you ain't going to win that battle. You're just not. And then selfless exceptionalism. I'm going to read this because, man, I see y'all way back there. Kinda. Greatness is defined as selfless exceptionalism. Choosing a servant heart is the defining pillar of greatness. It's a place of exceptional performance for the purpose of enhancing the lives of others. When you choose greatness, you perform to inspire, you lead to encourage, and your life's mission is to make the lives of those around you better during your journey. My purpose, Nathan, funny what you were talking about, right, is to confront the hard truths so that individuals and organizations will come out from behind themselves and make it real, actualizing their capacity for greatness along the way. Truth's an interesting thing, man. That self-deception is brutal. AKA, just me, just the other week. I made it okay. And whether it's when that alarm goes up and you're supposed to train, or that one more beer, or you being mean to your significant other. Well, she's being mean to me. I don't give a shit. It doesn't mean you got to be mean back. And it's a choice. But you'll convince yourself, but she's being mean to me. Great. Nice. Well done. That ain't leading. Right? So I love this. So think about it this way. I got some questions. We're not going to answer them, but these are part of the workshop questions. If this idea of selfless exceptionalism is the pinnacle of leadership, right, how are we doing in society? Do we see leadership? And pause. I'm not political, just so know that. I don't watch it. I pay no attention to it. People are like, Mark, are you talking? No. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about business, okay? So if you ask yourself the question, if the concept of selfless exceptionalism is the pinnacle of leadership, who thinks leadership is on the upswing? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think. Who think leadership is going down? Raise your hand. All right, so like 6 people have answered the question. Let me try this again. If selfless exceptionalism is the pinnacle of leadership in society, who thinks leadership is getting better? Who thinks it's getting worse? There we go. Yeah, right? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And then a guy like me goes, why? God knows there's 22,000 books out there on leadership, and they're all pretty good. It's alarming. And the burnout we're seeing, the employee engagement dropping, the employee health, we're not getting overly healthy these days, right? So what was interesting, right, in prepping for all this stuff, right, since October, every year, people that do what I do a bunch of research. 50 years, I know Kouzes and Posner have been doing this, and they say, what do you want from your leader? And for 49 years, whatever it's been, the number one thing has always been honesty, integrity. For the first time that I have ever seen, it pivoted to this, hope. Now, if you think about that for 1 second, it might make a little bit of sense to you. There's a lot of human beings walking around out there with mild PTSD right now. About 1 to 1.5 out of every 4 people in your workforce, mild to major mental health issues. Right? Will, you know the health, what's going on health-wise. We are going, chronic diseases going through the roof. People want hope. They want inspiration. They want someone to come into their lives and tell them it's going to be okay. I don't get many compliments. I got one, it was the guy probably didn't know it. But he asked me a couple months ago, he said, Mark, do you ever have a bad day for God's sake? And I looked at him, I said, not as far as you're concerned, I do. Get it? Of course I have bad days. But man, I'm not going to dump them on you. Why would I do that? Of course I do. I'm human. You won't know. You won't know. Right? I love the question. So, why the decline? Think about these questions. As a society, are we becoming more or less principled, more or less character-based? For the love of God, we got to fact-check everything. There's your answer. It makes me crazy. You don't even know it's true anymore. Next question. Right, is our collective mindset the keys to the kingdom? The key to your success is your mindset. Growth, the mindset of a winner, abundance, possibility, or is our collective mindset trending toward fixed victim? Life sucks, the man's got me down, don't answer that. What's your mirror telling you? All right? Are we becoming mentally tougher, psychologically stronger, or weaker and weaker due to what? Comfort and convenience. Told y'all last year, read the book Comfort Crisis. It's frightening. Which way are we headed? Last one. And is the current trend toward selflessness or selfishness? Who's it about? Really? Because I know a lot of givers out there. You know, think about all the people I've met. They give, you know, but why are they giving? To get attention, to get the name on the building, or are they giving for the sake of giving and expecting nothing in return? Alan does all these, does events like this. You don't know they're his. He'll work the bar. He'll park the cars. You don't even know they're his, right? So, here we go. I got 7 minutes to tell you about 25 years of this stuff, right? Remember, my version of the truth. I feel like after 25 years, I at least can talk about it. I call it selfless exceptionalism. What do I believe are the non-negotiables? Those. Google them, look them up, pull them apart, try to understand them. And they're all different. Strength and toughness are two different things. I didn't know that. These cats are amazing to me. When you meet people like this, it is bizarre how honest and integrous and accountable, but they're also courageous to stand up for what they believe in. They're very, very disciplined, okay? A lot of self-control, very forgiving, and exceptionally humble. I know by the way, of all the family-owned, family-run businesses I work with, and it's been a bunch, and I've got some, you know, that are 3 generations, 4 generations, 5-generation infrastructure companies, 120 years old. Character and caring are the 2 common denominators for the families. Character, caring. In my industry, think about that. Second one, this mindset, this growth mindset, this mindset of a winner. These people are phenomenal. They don't have bad days, right? They're so full of possibility, hope, optimism. They're confident and curious and persistent as they can be. Chronic uneasy, my world. They never settle. They're never settled. They're never satisfied. They set these goals that they know they'll never meet, and they actually get off on the fact that they'll never meet them. These type of people exist. Right? They're very positive, optimistic, adaptable, and choices over circumstances, Brad, free will. They're, you know, my life, my wheel. My life, my choices, my life. It's not your fault, sir. No offense. If this shit don't go well, I ain't got but one person to blame. And I'm not going to blame the government, and I'm not going to blame my beautiful bride. I'm not going to blame, it's me. That's free will. Not a lot of people are willing to go that route. Mental toughness, remember what I said, it's not a Harley and tattoos. This is a really, really interesting concept. Very, very gritty. Angela Duckworth, read the book. Resilient, tenacious, high resolve, right? Just won't quit. But they have this purpose that pulls them forward. Their why behind their what is powerful, and it gets them through everything. They're very composed. A lot of these, remember, I know these people. They don't have a lot of high highs and they don't have a lot of low lows. They're just down the middle, okay? And they're like literally, they're construction tough, I call it, right? They can handle hardship. They can handle bad news. They can handle shitty people in their life and circumstances, and they're okay. Like literally, they're awesome. Right? And extreme ownership, free will, very, very similar thing. And then stewardship. What's a steward, right? You got to go back in time. right? When the rich people had the horses and they had their stable hands that took care of their horses, they called them stewards. Stewards are people that take care of something that belongs to somebody else. As a leader, you are a steward of the people's potential around you. Let me say that again. As a leader, as a parent, you are the steward of the folks' potential around you. It is your job to spark that, actualize that potential. That, to me, is what a leader does. It's a powerful category, right? Sacrifice, selflessness, mountains of empathy, centeredness, okay, very compassionate, right? I learned I actually have high empathy. I can kind of read a room and read a person pretty well, right? I know you're upset. I know you're hurting. But what my Sicilian Italian mama said my whole life growing up was, suck it up, buttercup. That was her version of compassion. So you might tell me how hurting you are, and I get it. I'm going to look at you, what am I going to say? Suck it up, buttercup. You know, compassion is the pain reliever. I'm supposed to help you feel better. Not my fastball, right? Centeredness, you know, you'll see it in the slide coming up. I am insanely present with you when I am with you. I'm with you. I'm right here. I'm actively listening to what you're saying, not going, ooh, 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 is it my turn to talk yet? You'll see here, you know, these people, this is one of my goals, you never see their cell phone when you're with them. You never see their cell phone, right? Think about that. Let me ask you, if I'm with you, right, and that cell phone's sitting in front of me on the table, am I fully present, yes or no? Louder. And then you got the ones that got it in their hand. And I go, no, Mark, I'm listening. I'm like, bullshit. No, you're not. No, you're not. This is one of mine. I'm a little bit of a junkie, so call me out, man. I want to put it in my bag. I want to get better at that. All right. I'm going to go through these one at a time. I'm almost out of time, and I'm almost done. I got one more slide. These are very real people. So I wanted to say, what do they actually look like in real life? Right? First and foremost, and Will, do you follow me? Perfect. Right? They are models of self-care and the well-lived life. Models, okay? Constantly attending to their mind and their bodies. Not putting any crap in that's not good for them, and not using crap to give them energy. I love the idea. I hear there's people that eat Adderall to get energy. I'm like, man, that's such a great idea. And they're not ADD. Like, good job, right? And then what do you notice? They have limitless energy. They're never tired. You know, that busy and tired became like the famous line. How you doing, man? Man, I'm busy and tired, Mark. I'm like, congratulations. I don't know what to tell you. These people aren't. I'm telling you they're not. Okay? Morally grounded, ethically aligned, positive, optimistic, bad days are rare. Not never, but they're rare with these people. Okay? Learners, knowledge, and truth seekers. Tough as nails. They don't blame, they don't complain. They don't blame, they don't complain. They don't complain about anything because they're tough and they have a growth mindset and they don't want to dump that on you. All right? Don't want attention, don't need affirmation because they're good. They don't want attention or affirmation. They're very present, very centered, and there it is, no cell phone in sight. Failure. Serve quietly, expect nothing in return, leave a legacy, live beyond their life. These people are out there, man. I've met them, and God, I can't get enough of them. I live with one. She's amazing. Last slide. So here you go. Here's a little bit of map for you. Don't overthink this. You have to start by taking care of your mind and body. You know damn well when you're tired, you're not worth a darn. You know it. You have to start by taking care of your mind and body. When you do the right thing always, your character will grow. It will get bigger. When you do the right things always, you have to think really, really, really hard about what you're doing all the time. And then do the right thing. And then your character will get bigger. I didn't know this. All right? Study, learn, grow, have feedback partners, have accountability partners, right? I have my own version of Goat Mountain, people I go to, right? When I've got issues, when I'm struggling, you got to have a Goat Mountain, man. Who do you go to? All right? That's the growth mindset. Do hard things often. Anterior mid-singular cortex, look it up. It's part of your brain. Huberman talks about it. That's where tenacity and willpower lives. When you do things you don't want to do, that part of your brain gets bigger. When you do things you don't want to do, that part of your brain gets bigger. When you sit your happy ass on the couch all day and consume news, that part of your brain gets smaller. You have to challenge yourself. Nathan, you have to be uncomfortable. Everything you were saying, it's got to hurt. If it don't hurt, that part of your brain's shrinking. Ergo, the comfort crisis is freaking me out. If you're just starting to work out and diet for the first time, it'll get bigger. When it becomes lifestyle, it's not making it bigger anymore. So every day that goes by, you got to try to do hard things, and you got to do it often. And then the last thing, gang, show up, be present, and serve. Serve others. That's it. 25 years and 35 minutes. And that's my message. Remember, I'm on my journey. I'm not there, right? But I promise y'all, one of these days, I'll be able to stand up here and go, hey, I'm getting closer. Y'all good? Did you learn something? All right. Good luck with it. Take care.